Fabian, we're off and rolling, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for inviting me, man.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us where you came from, please?
I moved to Nosara 4 years ago, bro, and I'm from Costa Rica. I used to have always lived in the city and been surfing most part of my life. I've been coming to Nosara for maybe, say, 20 years.
Wow.
I didn't used to like Nosara, you know.
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
I didn't like Nosara, man. I was terrified about the waves. They were so big, man. Something has definitely changed, but yeah, big waves were so big, and yeah, it was not a very nice trip when I came down here. I used to go more like to the north,
okay,
where the waves are like a little bit. The lip is like thick, thinner, so they don't hurt as bad. I don't know for what reason. I falling in love with this. Probably was yoga. I got into yoga like 7 years ago. So this place is vibrating at that level. So 4 years ago, I decided to move, and never thought of myself working here. Actually,
really?
Yeah, I thought I was coming here to retire. I wanted to retire and just reinvent myself. Never thought about architecture being like the bridge to help me in my process, in reinventing myself. I didn't knew that it was gonna last, but probably my philosophy has always been to let nature take care of itself. So if it's natural, something that I do, it has really made it. So it must be part of me.
So your passion for architecture, even though you came here to retire, it's just in there. It's in you, and it was coming out. You needed to express it.
When I started looking for a place here, I found myself really trapped with barely no solutions. Economically and like spiritually, what I was looking for into a place. And I really had a bad time. Many places that were either very hot, very dark, places that didn't help in any way with my process and lifting my spirit in that sense. So I started even considering of developing a project here, maybe some small housing project that could satisfy my need, but that has always been the case in my life. Whenever I don't find something, I'll make it happen. So coming to Nosara was not about that. But I found myself called to do it. You know, like I needed a place that really could comply with everything that a person that wants to have a time for himself, a space that could host that feeling, you know, but there weren't. So I started thinking, developing this project, but then suddenly someone like you that I met as soon as I came into the community introduced me to someone that in fact needed something just like me to design a home that could suit their needs. So I started practicing that for others, serving others. So I saw that probably architecture could in fact be the bridge to help me within my spiritual growth and my professional practice, if there was one. So yeah, architecture seemed to be the right bridge and has made me grow personally and professionally, has helped me in bringing my creativity back to its best.
Now that's interesting because in your previous life back in San Jose, you did bigger projects and like large, or certainly by Nosara standards, large projects. Whereas here in Nosara, it seems like now you're able to focus on an individual home and pour your complete love and attention into that. And it's interesting. It's still architecture, but it's not this big, I don't even know. You've done warehouses and malls and these types of things. And now you're working on people's individual homes. It seems like for the most part. Is that true?
Yeah.
So it's still architecture. It's just a different flavor.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons I decided to quit that specific job. It was getting too big, too serious. So it rebounds that old saying in 2018, too big to fail. I was getting too big to fail, so yeah, coming down to Nosara has all been about being grounded.
I got you. There's a big emphasis on nature here. And that seems like it's one of the core components of your company. And let's introduce that. So Modus Operandi?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's a Latin word, Modus Operandi. I used to live in Los Angeles. I did my master's degree there. Okay. Then I worked for this incredible firm, Roto Architects. I lived there, and all that could remember from that experience in Los Angeles was this cop thing. You know, everything was around cops and security, and it's really strange. And I got familiarized with this term modus operandi, like whenever they are talking about like a specific delinquent or something, they want to target him just by describing him. So modus operandi, the Latin word means modus, stands up for the mode, the way, and the operandi is how you act, how you operate. So I definitely wanted to wear that shirt. I wanted to be very crystal clear of what our practice stands for, and not making it really misty about what it is all about. It's all about nature, the true nature of the designer, the true nature of the client, and the true nature where the project is going to be done. So that is in full accordance with what my journey and where I am in this journey is about, figuring out my true nature. So there's something very incredible here in Nosara, and something that the world is slowly picking and looking at. You know, this place has become very attractive to many people like me have come to reside permanently. And I think that the true spirit of this place is maybe the consciousness that revolve around nature, you know, about how we all of us are trying to be as natural as possible.
It's interesting for you, the concept nature is, of course, the environment, but you also are looking at the internal side, as in your nature, as in what's your barometer, because you came here to retire. Now you find yourself working again. But at the same time, this is bringing you fulfillment, not just an income.
That's great. As we have been talking about, my yoga practice has made me aware. I think that's one of the main or principal reasons I really find the true value of yoga. People tend to think that yoga is about asanas in the body, and I think that's just a small part of it. Finding one's nature and how you fit that in the entire spectrum, it's something that maybe I'm using my professional practice as a life vest, not just to find myself lost in the universe. So maybe this practice keeps me grounded, and the fact of using architecture to communicate and serve others has made me realize about karma yoga. And I have found a great opportunity. And what karma yoga means is you serve others and you're growing yourself. So when I find myself having these long design charrettes or long hours, I just realize I'm serving someone, and hopefully that is going to be transcend. It's going to transcend in this other, and the other is going to find that true value of what our services are all about. It's about serving others. So if that comes back to us, and not in an economic way, but more in a spiritual way, I'm growing 8 hours faster than if I was using work just to make a profit.
And in San Jose is a wonderful climate and an interesting place in itself, but Nosara is nature infused and very tropical. You're going from designing buildings in San Jose to personal homes in Nosara, but now everything's kind of around a whole tropical. What's the term that you use?
Tropical design.
So tropical design.
Yeah.
And that's your flair, that's your style, and that's what you do here. That's your focus point.
It's incredible. Tropical design is meant for the tropics. Most of my clients, when I introduce that term, people tend to think that tropical design is about using palms and using very natural, almost untouched materials. And yes, it's something like that, but we are specifically located in the tropics, and we have a different exposition to nature from north. That's where most of our clients come from, or Europe also. It's the northern hemisphere. It all acts differently. And sometimes they come with clear ideas of what they want, but they don't suit the tropics. And that's what I finally found or realized in why I was so unsatisfied on my first year or something about not being able to find a place that suited or could be able to host me. And that was what was happening. Maybe who designed the places that I was experiencing didn't have a clue about how the structures react to the tropics. So yeah, that made me jump in, and I called my firm a studio. Really, I'm studying architecture. I can't really say I'm fully experienced. Every project, every site we intervene, every client, everything is always different. It has the same principle.
Are you enjoying that? How it's always different here? Do you miss? I guess what I'm asking is, do you miss the bigger projects at all, where it's about a bottom line and a setup, or do you really enjoy the nuances and the changes that happen here, especially with our extreme humidity and then our extreme dryness, which you have two polarities, but it's still tropical all the time. It's kind of an interesting place. Are you enjoying this moving atmosphere, or sometimes do you long for the days of just a big project, sink your teeth into it, and you know what you know, and there's a little bit less emotion?
Well, I don't miss it at all, to be really honest. It's completely another focus. Practice here is more intimate. Getting to meet people that find themselves really grateful for you, for giving them their services. And it's incredible that people I have with this intention have gotten the chance to meet. There are really people that come here with an intention, they are coming here to retire, to grow. That's why I find this place to have a gravitational force that is bringing these radiant people. I really love this place.
And why is that? What's driving all this? What do you think?
Well, just because you know me, but I'll try to be as easy with this answer. I once learned that Costa Rica is very fertile ground in terms of karma. The pura vida. Mm-hmm. Just that. It's a simple saying that says it all. It's pure life. It's like a mantra. You're desiring people to have a pure life. So that is collectively held by Costa Ricans during many years. But let's go way back. We don't have karma. We never got conquered in this place. We don't have anything that we should regret. So I think if you get to know Costa Ricans, we adjust to anything. We are very easygoing, very adjustable. We have crossed in our productive sections in sectors in Costa Rica. We've been agricultural, now in hospitality, now we're into services. We're pretty smart. So I think Costa Rica lacks of karma. And this is a very fertile ground. So when you have a starting point that is called Yoga Center, that for me is like a very emblematic, or I guess the pioneers for me are the people from Nosara Institute. This place is mostly because of them. It has attracted people in that vibration. Yoga is a vibration. Yoga are people that have certain level of awareness, or they want to reach it. That's what we all share here. And we get to meet the people from Nosara. So yoga in Nosara has, they have grown together. People are bringing some consciousness, and I guess that's why this place is so magical. There's nothing that that lacks of bad energy. Is the contrary. Everything right here is vibrating the correct way, how it should be. Yeah, there are many things that we need to help and change, but that's like trying to create a new order, and it's impossible. Let's just say true nature manifests itself. So in those senses, Nosara has been a very fertile ground to practice the architecture made for seekers, people that are seeking for something, and that what they are seeking, it's right here. Very hard to see, very hard to sustain, very hard to find out, but it's here. Yoga has made us aware of that. So all these people that are coming for yoga trainings and yoga teachers, all these thinkers, I find myself thinking that the people that visit this place are in their fields, they are doing pretty good. So I think there's like a really strong vibration here that it's due to this country's fertility, neutrality. I like seeing a place that really admits having diversity in the way you think. And that Nosara is all of that. Nosara is strictly like that. So every project is different. Why? Because the clients, the sites as we interpret it, they're all different, but we should like make it sustain under a principle of architecture that is tropical design.
All right, that makes sense. So one of the things I've enjoyed from when I first got here to today is the quality of architecture and building and features have drastically increased, and sustainability is a big part of that. So sustainability is a big part of where you're coming from and what you're passionate about. How do you incorporate that into your architecture and to what you do on a day-to-day basis? Okay,
tropical design is all about sustainability. It's about using passive actions. And you will always hear me during this conversation just fluctuating from spiritual to the professional practice. That is what we are talking about right here.
Well, you also just mentioned the term passive action, so I'm interested in hearing
passive more. Actions is interesting because all about what yoga teaches is being aware that you are aware. So in architecture, when we call passive actions, it's just letting the building be and trying without consuming any energy, be self-efficient. What do I mean with that? Orientation is one of the major principles in tropical design. It's where you place a building. If you place it in favor of the principal winds that are coming from the northeast in Costa Rica, northwest, if you locate the building in a passive way, looking towards the direction of the main streams, wind streams, you'll be having a very efficient building, renewing its internal energy constantly, instead of having to go through what I had to go during the first year that I was here, that I was trapped inside a room with the AC on, because that was my only source of fresh air. And I started finding out, even though that my practice of yoga is always telling me, then I found myself like really reacting negatively to what I was experiencing. So the whole experience of life was being diminished by how architecture was affecting me negatively. So sustainability is all about having passive actions, not consuming any energy, turning off the AC. And when you told me about my change from San Jose to Nosara, well, I found myself in the city just like any other big city or cosmopolitan cities. You find yourself trapped in routines. And that's where your awareness lowers. You're completely going against your true nature. You're just becoming a slave of the system. So you lost any sense of awareness, and obviously your consciousness is going to the ground. So Nosara is all about the contrary. It taught me of my need to be outside. But it's kind of hard, it's kind of hard to find a place that could suit that need of being outside, but in a controlled environment. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be mechanically controlled, because you can be in a place that could easily be naturally ventilated and almost feel like you have a natural AC. But you don't know the difference between having an AC and the natural ventilation, because natural ventilation renews any energies within the space, rather than ACs that just recycle it. They keep going through the same energy. That's why you feel like so slow in an office with the full AC, and you can't experience that. So that's the real difference of what I have learned between practicing in San Jose and practicing here. In here, there's a need to be outside. So it's the most challenging thing you can pull off in architecture. That's why I'm saying I'm not an expert. How can you achieve being outside when you really need to protect or give the aspects of having an internal protection, having a controlled environment? How you achieve the real outside being inside is super challenging. So our buildings, our designs are very easily maneuverable. They open themselves. They have features that you can control, just like turning on the AC, pull it up, pull it down, the temperature. In tropical design, you create elements that move to graduate how much, keeping the same idea, how much ventilation you want. So you keep using these panels just to control how much you want. Same thing with radiation. Radiation is your worst enemy in this area. Well, in any area, but specifically in reaching high levels of comfort. That's another whole new chapter. But radiation, if you don't take that seriously here, at least in Nosara area, you will find yourself in a constant oven, and you will literally feel or have the awareness of what feels to be cooked. A
lot of the older homes truly did feel that way. It's hot.
Old and new. Because in Costa Rica, we'll think that overhangs, that it's one of the most important elements in our architecture. Something that is autonomous from Costa Rica. It's the overhangs in the creating the protection to the houses. So you see, like old traditional, that you can even go to the small period of where we got colonized. They left something, even though they came from Spain, but we started creating spaces that were in front of spaces. Is what we call balconies. But they were mostly protected by the overhangs. So it's something that I have taken from old traditional Costa Rican architecture and trying to amend for the time that we haven't studied those elements and bring them to modern times. So it's really interesting how you can observe through the whole area of Nosara projects that are what we call modern. And modern is a style that was developed in Europe and had now nothing at all of tropical elements. So it's very antagonizing to see many new projects that we are seeing, a bunch of them, being really modern style and not considering the fact that we're in the tropics. So this becomes these modern ovens. And so there you go. Those are very passive actions. It's just have the right orientation, protect yourself from radiation. Giones is facing pretty much to the south, and that's the where the sun comes from mainly during most time of the year. So how about that? You want to face the ocean, facing the south, and that's where you'll receive the most radiation through the entire year. So how you comply with that challenge of opening yourself to the view to the south, but protecting the structure from that radiation that creates this greenhouses effect. So yeah, passive actions is all about that. It's about not consuming energy. And when we sort of started flirting with the concept of nature, nature is your best ally. In tropical design, nature is your best true ally. There's nothing that a tree assimilates in anything humanly made to protect a given structure. There's nothing. Trees are I'm fascinated about how trees act or respond. In our need, it's us that we're seeking need from the trees. And it's shocking when I'm going around town and just see everybody tearing down the trees. That's what we should be like, doing the opposite. They are our best allies.
What's nice to hear an architect say that, because years and years ago, and this is not the case of the architects here today, I'm very proud to say, but in the past, a lot of the times people didn't really use architects. They just find a builder sometimes would clean the slate. And again, I'm not talking about the builders of today, this moment, the architects this moment. We have very talented individuals and companies who are very much caring about the community and the environment. So that I'm prefacing with that. But I will say this. I've heard it said more than once in the past of clean slate. An architect just wants an open, let's get rid of the trees and let's start with this clean area. And that's really bad for us, because then we don't have the paths for the monkeys and for the wildlife to move all around. So it's very refreshing to have a new architect like yourself come to town and say, hey, let's keep the trees, let's build around the trees, and let's factor that into the environment. And as I'm sitting here, I mean, it's probably worth pointing out, even some of the newer hotels have been very much more conscious of sustainability and factoring in the trees. Like Olas Verdes has in the restaurant trees all in. Lagarda Lodge even has trees in it. It's very, and Bodhi Tree was tastefully done. It's and Gilded Iguana went through great measures for sustainability, especially with water and all kinds of things that they did. So across the board, I guess what I'm saying is in 2019, I'd say Nosara is far more conscious than ever before. And that comes back to the community in itself, because the community, I'd say, here is more conscious than in most other areas. And I'm not talking bad about other towns. What I am saying, though, is the community here does have an emphasis on nature and does care. Sometimes people might not think that, but it's a pretty well-organized community here in Nosara compared to most places on the planet. So I count ourselves very fortunate. And to have the architects coming in saying, keep the trees, let's build around that, that's phenomenal for us. I think that's a good indicator of a positive future.
Yeah, and even I used to be or work as a developer, and that sometimes blinds your eyes. So it's important to consider people moving here, they are developers. And when they find their little, in a specific case, a very small size lot, and they want to build a 3,000 square foot house in a very small lot, it's going to tear everything down.
It comes back to lot size, right? So if you only have 400 meters to work with, it's not a lot of space. If you have a lot of space, then you have the luxury of keeping the trees.
Correct. So it's a tough balance, but I have been very fortunate that lots have intervened. Well, this used to be a cattle field, so most of the real wood, the good wood, the real good trees that sustain this ecosystem, they're long gone, most of them. Okay, so that's why Costas Verdes is so incredible about what they're doing. I've reached to them, and sometimes I have encountered having sites in which my allies are not the best. They could be very old. They could be even problematic to keep them. So sometimes, or at least what I have created with this incredible foundation of what Costas Verdes is to help us, even like previously sign an agreement with the owners. Okay, we chop one tree, let's plant 5. Let's adopt 5 trees. We should sustain this. So I have reached to Costas Verdes and they have agreed. We are launching our first project in which the owner has been like really open-minded, and whatever we can't accomplish to plant on site, we're definitely going to support and have the project almost like branded.
That's fantastic.
So
thank you and thank them for participating in that. So are you seeing that for most of your builds and the people coming in, are they thinking about the community in this way? Like, are people willing to participate?
Yes, and to finish the other idea, yes, there's a lot of people doing good things here, but there are some that are not. So we have to be very vigilant ourselves to criticize in a constructive way. You'll always know when something is constructive or it's coming from another intention. So,
well, on that note, sometimes people get really upset about trees being cut down, but sometimes those trees should be cut down. There's some trees that don't live very long here that are gonna fall anyway.
Yes.
And I learned that the hard way when I first came and moved here, because there were trees around our house, and I was like, no, we're just gonna let them go. Well, they started falling.
yes.
One right by my kid's swing set, another right by a car, and another almost on the home. And then I finally got the point. It was like, oh, that's probably the wrong tree to be there. I should do something about this. But I had good intentions. I just wasn't being wise. And sometimes with new builds, there are trees that should come down and other trees should be replanted in their spot that are food sources for the local wildlife, not under transformers and putting flora and fauna in the right location. So I was just making a point. Some of the trees are going to fall anyway.
Yes. No, and we shouldn't strictly limit ourselves to trees. It's like about the impact we're going to have on the projects. So having in alignment, in our case, our firm with Costas Verdes, let's plant trees, but let's plant trees that make sense.
Right.
Let's plant trees that make sense in a broader way. So Costas Verdes, in this sense, they have like a very clear understanding of how they can renew or start launching this process of reinventing the old ecosystem that used to be here. So they have a clear, good understanding. So trees are a way, but that helps or impacts let's say with the monkeys, keeping up with the monkey trails. Right. It's a building site, but let's give a little, let's give a little monkeys. Monkeys are another great foundation here in Nosara. It's a very well organized foundation, nonprofit, and they're always seeking for the best of monkeys. So sustainability doesn't necessarily means to cutting or not trees. It means to have or trying to reach a point of equilibrium. Where you create an impact, you counteract that impact and try to be in a set of balance. Sustainability is how we sustain, or how can you even make this place better. So I have found my clients to be very open-minded with a very incredible vibration, and they have asked me literally since the second or third meeting, as I'm being very passionate about what we are intervening here in Nosara, limited to their site, they start getting interested in this whole idea of what Nosara is all about. And they have asked me, how can I engage with the community? How is it that I can get involved? And it's really touching, because I'm just an architect in that sense, I could have taken that attitude, and limiting strictly myself to my services. But no, these questions opened our hearts to go further than that. So we started creating these relationships between our company, Modus Operandi, and, for example, Costas Verdes. Costas Verdes is not going to be our natural advisor, how can we make this place better? And we're going to definitely create a bridge for our customers or our clients to engage in planting in the whole initiative of Costas Verdes. Another one that we have invited is the Nosara Surf team. Wow, man, that guy is the best to have a conversation. Cali has managed to put a set or a group of kids, from Ocional and Nosara, and have helped them, almost like yoga, is to take a practice, take an intention and take you to a better place, make it help you in your awareness, help you in your consciousness. That's exactly yoga. But he has made it into surf. So he has taught these kids to surf and make it a discipline. And the passion that guy talks is all about the sustainability that we have talked about. Sustainability is not only about trees and monkeys. It's about how to sustain that natural state of the entire ecosystem, and we are part of that ecosystem. Humans are important. I was writing a blog that I'm trying to launch next week. It's about how we humans are, how we pretend to control the ecosystem, but we are definitely out of it. We're definitely out of it. And I think Nosara, it could be like a great stage to formally sign a petition or request to be part of that ecosystem. So
I like how you said we pretend to control. Those were interesting words.
Yes. It's for a fact. Like we are not treasuring the natural aspect of anything. I've become organic or trying to for the past 4 years since I moved to Nosara, which also helps in that intention of becoming organic. And what is the true essence of being organic? About having a taste of the true or the natural state of a certain product. It called my attention. It amazed me the first time I started experiencing those things in Nosara. Because in the city, everything has to do about time. Everything has to do, or they abuse you just by the fact that it's being organic or natural. So Nosara is the great platform to launch this, let's say, budget to try to belong to this ecosystem, try to make our place in the entire spectrum of the ecosystem. But we shouldn't at any time pretend that we are there. We should make it. We should ask for animals' permissions. We should interact with nature first, just to see if we make the cut. But we shouldn't assume we are there, man. It's like so dangerous about that. How we see the oceans, the effect of plastic. How can we humans, if we were 100% conscious of what we're doing, we don't get rid of that element. We should get that out of the system. From, at least in Nosara, there are very good efforts, like the whole community moved towards not having straws. That's good. Now it's not good seeing if you go to a restaurant and they serve you with a plastic straw. There are still some leftovers, but there was a big change. So sustainability has to do in everything, man. Has to start from us. We have to be sustainable ourselves. Try to not to have an impact, and trying to be as sustainable, starting from one's practice, one's home, and bringing that into my professional practice has been like mandatory. So hope to have answered the whole aspect of sustainability, because it's very, very wide. We humans have to start thinking, for example, there's a lot of labor force required here in the area. A lot. We are importing a lot of people, and there are still people that are unemployed. So there must be efforts, that I'm being part of them, trying to put together. I'm very passionate about this thing. I'm trying to put together a series of businesses to help us design a place where we can capacitate these people that don't have a job. It's mandatory that we make this place sustainable. If not, we're going to start importing a lot of people. If you could have that term, like bringing labor force from other countries even, and diminishing what we are putting here together.
You and I are examples of that, where neither of us are from here. You're from Costa Rica, I'm from the United States, but we obviously have some sort of skill set or some sort of desire or some sort of ability to have a place here. If there was somebody already here, then we wouldn't be. One of my driving passions and one of my big reasons for starting this podcast was to help with something along the lines of what you just said. What I'm very scared of is the local populace is not receiving the training to succeed as the economy changes. We're moving from agriculture into tourism. And how are the local people going to get high-end jobs if they don't have the training to service first world clients and this type of thing? Like it's something I've thought about a million times. And sometimes the local people, when I first moved here in particular, people would come up and say, you came up here, you stole my job, or you took job away from us. And I was kind of like, oh, that made me feel bad. And then I thought about it and it hit me. It's like, no, I didn't. I didn't take your job. I'm doing something that you don't know how to do. But if I want to be a good steward to this place, I need to bring that skill set and offer it everything I can to other people from here so they do have an opportunity. And that's kind of where I want to turn the corner in my life, is doing more and more of that. And I'm trying to find investors. I'm trying to find a way to coordinate having a location to where the local kids or adults, I don't care. Tourists are welcome too, but I'd like to have a spot where people can get an education and get life skills and succeed who are from here. Otherwise, I think that's that is how it's a recipe towards crime and a recipe towards a lot of problems. If people don't have hope and they don't have training that they can succeed and they absolutely can. What's stopping the local populace from excelling is the training and the knowledge to get those higher level positions. I'm not trying to change someone. I'm trying to just give them a shot.
Yes.
And that's what I'd like to do. And I hope people listening to this get behind that and get behind what you're describing, and we can get after it. Like Vive el Sueño is a great initiative in the community. It's fantastic. Showing people how to be entrepreneurs, start their own businesses and these sorts of things. Well, I want to take it a lot further. Not everyone's an entrepreneur. Not everyone can have a business. There's only so many that will succeed in a given area. And in Nosara, for example, we have a ton of restaurants already. We have a lot of hospitality projects already. So not everyone can launch a new one. We need to get the labor and the support systems and just the knowledge and the training to help everyone, not just the one person who's trying to open a business. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to pull that off, like a spot kind of where even just guests, like you have lots of clients. I have lots of clients coming through right now who are really good at what they do. What if they could stop in for an hour and share that with us?
Wow.
And we could create a format where the local populace, tourists, Ticos, Gringos, everyone could go and sit there and listen to someone and ask them questions for a while. That would be neat. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm trying to work towards.
This is the Rich I know. This is the Rich I wish everybody could know, and hopefully we can help through this conversation reach to this person that really finds a value of community, because my clients are doing all of them. They're all doing them. They just want to help the community. So
it's good to hear.
Yeah, your idea is like almost trying to reach the moon, but we already made it, so it's not as hard, building something that is community driven. Just depends on a community, and I think you are in the right place.
I hope so.
We're just waiting for the right time.
Yeah, well said. Patience is not always my best virtue, I've learned. But I want to ask you some questions about Nosara.
Yeah.
I know your like is the vibe, the vibrations. You attribute that to Don and Amba. Shout out to them for starting the Yoga Institute. Yes. Some people attribute it to the wave. Some people attribute it to both. We know for the most part what your likes are. You like the surf and you like the nature. Could you tell us what some of your dislikes about Nosara are? Like what bothers you a little about this place?
Through any human settlement through the ages have encountered difficulties. Mm-hmm. We all start from our own family. Like get 5 humans to agree on something. That's hard. That's your first one. Then you make your wider family take 15 guys, 15 individuals and make them agree, even harder. Now we're talking about, let's say, 20,000 people here to agree on something. I've been debating with some of the neighbors, and I think what we need really to start get this going, how to the basurero,
So trash.
Yeah, trash.
That would be one.
Trash is something that we need to desperately do something about it,
The trash one's a tough one. You're right.
It's a tough one, but we can find a solution, It's something that we need necessarily to engage on that, That is something that it's not that dislike me, but it's one of the prices you have to pay for settling as humans in a specific area, I've heard horror stories from other tourist destinations, that they appear so nice in the pictures, but they don't show us what's behind it. Mm-hmm. So this is not a thing about Nosara. This is a thing about humans.
Right.
We don't know how to process our own garbage, Like we need to learn how to be sustainable in that sense. There was a great article in a perfect example of it, that through social media they were trying to get us, the inhabitants of Nosara, to at least take the organics out of our trash. Mm-hmm. There you go. Like 70% of our waste is organic. Just make a hole and put your organics and help us out. And I've been trying to practice that for the past 4 years. It's a job. It's something that you need to do, but it all starts from your own little nucleus, your own little family, to start raising those values. And there you go. You have 70% of the problem solved. If we focus on education, so there you go. Your place can teach us, or there's the camps, the Nosara Kids Camp, they're bringing them, they're teaching them. So your community center could definitely help us teach or help us on how to process our own waste. So that's one of the first. The other ones is a lack of spaces to meet, like that is always like resonating, that your idea is so incredible and so good, and it must happen. A place where we can go and enjoy, because there are a lot of families coming here. So, a place where you can get educated, but hang out with your family at the same time. Go and listen to a good talk, a good explanation, a book launching, a musician talking about art. So it could be immense. And I think this is like the place to have that. And it doesn't. Regardless that there are a lot of people that are so good in their fields. If we had a moment just to hear them out, for them sharing, so there you go. This place will stop being a touristy place, and it will be more about people that come and give. Like tourists, the mindset of a tourist is come and enjoying and just taking off. Mm-hmm. It sucks the energy. You're having all these people organized, sustaining an energy field. Yes, I know people like and come and enjoy it, but could they leave something? Could they?
I think they can. And I think the people who come to Nosara, if we give them a platform to do so, I think they will.
Me too.
I also feel that there's enough money coming through the town right now and enough talent to alleviate most of our problems. I really do feel that way. I think that people don't know where to go or how to do it, so they just go on with their busy lives. But if we had a way to tap into that, I really think people would share their time and their money, and we could solve most of our problems. What happens in small towns, in my experience, is companies and businesses kind of put up walls because it's a small town and it's very competitive. What Nosara, in my opinion, needs to do is start pulling those walls down for the greater good of the community. And I'm hoping that we can do it. It's getting better. It's a lot better than it used to be. But I don't know. Just talk about real estate and the architects alone. How many clients are brilliant? and have amazing abilities and financial wherewithal, if we all just said, hey, welcome to Nosara, you're here now, enjoy the place, but can you jump in and be part of the solution with us? I really think, and you verified it. You said people are doing that with you. They're asking how they can get back into it. They are planting 5 trees in some cases for every one they take out. These are all great things that should be celebrated, and we should get the snowball growing.
Yeah, and I'm very sure that this is gonna be a total success. What you're thinking about is triple as hard. We live in a society that is mainly capitalist. They are trying to obtain something from any action, and I'm not judging. I'm saying that let's find the true. Let's say the true profit of something communal in a community like this. So there you go. It's like the sustainability of making something communal be worth to everybody. So everybody could help. You're aiming high, man. You're aiming on one of the toughest, it's like to get people from their very busy lives, yes, to take some time and process their garbage, take the organics out. You're doing exactly the same, it's having very busy people's life and taking a little bit of what it's more worth now than money, time. Take some time to help the community. And I'm doing my effort, man. Like, it takes time. I'm doing very specific pro bono jobs. One is for a yoga teacher that for me is an important character in this community. I would love to help people that serve the community and making their lives easier. So I'm designing her house. She has asked me for one of the most challenging small houses that I have designed. She asked me to design her a house that felt like a balcony. The whole house needed to feel like being in a balcony. So that was really challenging for me. And I had to do that in 1,000 square foot. So there you go. It was very limited. But if I help this person that employs herself in teaching others yoga, something that life has blessed me with my creativity is how not to give it to make the others sustain what Nosara is all about. It's the yoga principle, So there you go. It's like if every individual did something communitary in their busy lives, if we all agreed on that, this place will be even better than how it is right now. Because I know for a fact that people enjoy community here. I've learned about community, something that has been a term that is so new to me. That I have just began to learn in the last 4 years. I didn't know anything about what it felt to be part of a community, what it felt to serve a community, and what it felt to give back to a community that has helped me, like you said. Yeah, I've taken people's jobs. Well, I don't know. I'm doing my job and trying to be good about it. But I'm trying to give something back to this place, It's like, and through my actions, passive actions. It's all about learning how to be passively active. If you're practicing architecture, why not save some trees? Why not save some water? Why not process your own black waters? Let's just, if the black water system, that it works better, it's a little bit more expensive. Yeah, take out a little bit of the fancy stuff that we like to see, and let's just make let's guarantee ourselves that we'll treat also the black waters. This could be potentially, as we are going.
And it's improving. A lot of people are starting to, and that's nice to see.
Yes.
The pricing's coming down. It's good stuff. So I want to ask you a separate question. Would you please name your 3 favorite restaurants and what you get there? In no particular order, just 3 off the top of your head and 3 things you like to order.
Wow, man. It's an incredible question. This is something that I usually include in my conversations with my friends.
Nice.
Eating here in Nosara, it's part of the whole...
It's part of the deal.
It's part of the deal, man. Like, I really enjoy that. I really spend my time in restaurants. whenever I want to treat myself or my girlfriend, we go out, and that's what it's all about, going to restaurants. My top choice, man, and I've told this to very good friends of mine, is the SPS.
Okay.
Americans call it 10 pies.
They do.
10 pies, yeah, it does make sense. It reads like that, 10 pies. But it's all about the SPS. The SPS mean feet, the 10 feet a wave that we're all looking for. That's my best place, man.
What do you like to get there?
Like if I had to choose one, it would be the shrimp salad. That's when I cross, man, and it's incredible what Oscar and
all right.
And
what's
Ramon
your
done.
close second at DSPS?
Oh, the chicken.
The buffalo chicken grill?
Yes. Wow, man.
It's pretty solid.
I've eaten it so much that I've learned how to do it, and now I can do it myself.
That's
I learned
hilarious.
everything that I had to learn, and I do it myself in my home. But when I go to the SPS, I order it.
Right
Oscar and Ramon have done an incredible job there, man.
Yeah, proud of those guys. So what's number 2?
El Chivo, bro.
Chivo.
I
All
go
right.
to El Chivo. My girlfriend loves El Chivo, man.
Awesome. Heading over to Pilata.
She loves El Chivo, bro. And I love the vibe. And it was incredible when he used to be in North Guiones. Now they moved to Pelada. It's the same vibe. It's the same place. I celebrated my birthday there, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really liked the place and invited a few friends. And
What do you like to get there?
wow, bro. I always go to brunch.
Okay.
Like we try to treat ourselves with brunch.
We hear that a lot. That's a common answer to this one.
Yeah, we love brunch, man. So yeah, I have like three major ones, but I have to be real Costa Rican. I love the tico, having the same gallo pinto and all that stuff. Full
So
of
for number
proteins and
3,
stuff.
who is it?
Man, I can't give my back to Chandi, Basilico. I love Basilico, bro. That was my favorite girlfriend spot. We used to go there when we were dating, like for the first 2 years, man.
Uh-huh.
Basilico was the place, man.
What do you get there?
It's not on the menu, bro. That's a particular thing. I don't know if this will serve a Chandi, but he makes the best mushroom risotto.
Oh, interesting.
And it's not in the menu, man. And he pulls it off like really good. I've gone like through many other countries in the world. Like I really tried tasting risottos. And he does it really good, and it's not in the menu. And I'm like, why you don't have it in the menu? He has given me like 100 answers, but I always ask for the risotto, and he has like 3 types. So sometimes I even ask for the 3 of them. He will make me a sampler
Nice.
of the different 3 risottos. So Chandi is like the best, man. Like I love, and I can continue, man. Like there's like a 10 for sure. There's like a top 10 list, but those are my 3 top choices, man.
I think we're going to do an episode soon on people's restaurant choices.
Yeah, it's an interesting. That's most of our discussions with friends are like that, but like talking about restaurant experiences, and
It's a big part of your Nosara experience. That's why I started asking the question. So everyone who comes through, I ask that question.
how about you, man?
Oh, man. I'll include that on the episode that we're going to put out. How about that?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I want to ask you this. While you have this platform, is there anyone out there you want to give a shout out to or a thank you, or anyone you want to give a little bit of love to while you have these cameras staring at you?
Well, the first thing that I would like to thank is I don't know why I feel cold, but realtors, man.
Interesting.
Realtors, man.
The most hated.
Realtors,
One of
man.
the most hated groups of people there is.
Realtors, man. I have very good realtor friends, man.
Hey, so are the realtors bad people? Are they trying to tear this place apart? Because that's what you hear a lot of the time.
Well, that's why I like working with you, man. You have introduced me to clients of yours. That one in special, she's in Florida, man. One of the nicest ladies I have worked with. And it's all about intention. It's all about flowing. It's all about connection. So that's what I intend to fulfill, like real connection, connecting to people, not like how I used to be before in my professional practice. It was almost anonymous.
And the realtors around here, I make this point, it seems like every day. I try to explain it to people. The realtors are not trying to tear this place up at all.
Not the ones I know, but...
Well, none of the ones I know are the ones... How about this? The majority of realtors and the majority of architects and builders, for that matter, are not trying to tear this place up.
Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Might not seem that way, especially when you're driving past and see a big new house coming up on a lot that didn't used to be there. I understand where it comes from, but it's also, like you said, that this was a cattle field at one time. And this is one of the few places on earth where tourism actually brought nature back. It went from cattle field to planned golf course to failed golf course, and they let it grow over time. So what you see out there is regrowth, like you mentioned earlier. It's not the original stuff. It's actually an example of what can happen if people get together and let nature, if you bring it back.
Yeah, the experience with these realtors that I've worked with, and none in particular from any firm, I see them as individuals, not like different firms. They obviously have different styles, but regardless of that, I feel like when I have been like a tourist and I go to other countries and I spend most of my time like very lost, trying to figure out like how to move around. But there are some other times where I go to these special cities where I know people and they're able to help me, guide me. And that makes my life easier. So the few experiences that I have worked with these realtors, you included, is how you guys try to set up your people. That's really cool, man. Like, yes, it's clients, but you're trying to hook them up with the best solution, whatever suits them, I don't think that in here there's a product of getting people out of the way, just buy a home, buy a condo, we're out of here. You guys live here. They're going to be your neighbors. So that's also how I've been engaging it, like looking at them, yes, clients with a client relationship, but I call them neighbors. They're going to be my neighbors. I'm going to see them in the restaurants. So I don't want to have any dark story hidden there, Yeah, so I call out to these realtors. They exactly know who they are. I like how they work. I like how they set up their clients. And I've been part of it, like I've always asked these realtors / friends / colleagues that whenever they want to set up someone really good, to call me. If there is this someone that doesn't care about Nosara, doesn't care anything about like learning architecture through the process, because they're gonna be very involved. I like involving people in their processes. So whenever they got that person to give me a buzz, and it has happened, and I've enjoyed really much my work in the past 3 years, because I've gotten to meet really cool people, man. So the filtering has happened. I have not met anybody that I dislike, and they definitely make my work easier. Definitely my girlfriend, man. She was here when I got here. She was a local, so I definitely know her experience of having lived in this place with such a nobility of heart has really made my life easier to connect to this place. And finally, all the surfers that I surf with every day, man. You were saying that, yeah, I'm pretty much about surfing, and I do yoga very much. I practice yoga every second of my life. So those are my two practices. But surfers in particular, man, so cool people, man. They're cool people to hang out with. They are very connected to the ocean, and they have been teachers, like for me in how to. I always try to make the analogy of life as a wave. Like if you know how to ride a wave, you are basically experiencing what is to flow. So if you take that concept of surfing and apply it into your life, you'll begin to flow. And that's when you get less frustrated, and when you lose, when you let your impatience go, because the wave knows what it's gonna do. It's one that is surfing it that can't tell, you know. So once you hook up with this flow, you know. So yeah, surfers, man, for me are really incredible people to tour. Go in a surf trip, even meet you in the mornings, you know, 6 a.m. We're all aiming for the same thing. Is that experience, is that perfect ride, you know? So yeah, I call out to all of them. This place is all about surfing. You know, yoga is the pillar. But surfing is like right there. It's right next to it. And I think this is a very much surf destination. So between yoga and surf, we can change the world.
Seems like you found your home, man. Yoga and surf. That's us.
This is.
It really is us. Right on, man. Last question.
Yeah.
When are you going to try to ride a longboard? And I mean, like, learn to walk all around it and hop off your shortboard for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Wow, bro.
And you can say I'm not going to. I won't get my feelings hurt.
No.
I'm just throwing you a curveball because I see you on a shortboard every day and sometimes on a fish. But for you, it's still there. And with your mind and you being an architect, I really think it'd be fascinating for you to get into rail work and learning where to put a rail and where to put your feet and walking around on this board as opposed to...
Wow, it's incredible that you asked me that. First, I'll have to work on my patience, bro.
Okay.
I'm working on my patience. Yeah, I like to... It's really... When you find yourself doing things that very much speak up for yourself, it will show you or teach oneself to know how one is vibrating. So let's say this. Why do kids hear rock? It's because that's their vibration, you know. Some people listen to classic music. That's their other vibration, you know. So it's the same case in surfing, you know. There are two different experiences. One is more like punk rock kind of experience, right, and the other one is more like reggae, you know, like you want to chill out, you really want to pay attention. So it's all about how you're vibrating. And the longboard is like, I don't have the patience. So I hopefully would love to reach that point where I can have the patience to engage on my surfing practice. Now I'm trying to, I have a few surf coach, but the one that I recently got help with, Initiative Surf, really nailed into what I was looking to have from surfing. And it's really a spiritual growth. So this guy has helped me to really think about my actions. And the level I'm vibrating at right now, my creativity is like exploding. I'm like in a very high point of vibration creatively. So surfing is the same thing, you know. I'm trying to learn as fast as I can, and I think the only way to maneuver with that energy that is pushing me to learn to surf is a more responsive one. That's shortboard. I hope I can make it to longboard soon.
Maybe in 10 years.
Maybe, I don't know.
We'll go for a nose riding session.
I'll get there, man. But I'll definitely want to experience that portion of surfing that is mandatory for any surfer to experience, to really experience surfing. I think it's a combination between the two, you know. It's like a shortboarding.
I don't know if it's mandatory. I think people should, though. I think people should get the feel of the rock music and then also, as you said, the classical. I think it will make, even if you just stick with shortboards, knowing how to ride a longboard properly will help you ride your shortboards.
It's like snowboarding and skiing. Mm-hmm. skiing is not bad.
Just different.
I like snowboarding. It's way more punk rock than than skiing, but I love to ski. So I definitely can find some similarity to the both styles between like longboard and shortboard. But I promise you, I'll get there.
Hey,
hopefully.
Man, and I'm just halfway kidding. I love you, man. I'm glad you came on. Thanks for
Pura
being
vida,
here,
bro. Thank you for having me, man. This is incredible, man. I'm great fan. Supporting you all the way with this project. Love hearing your voice. Love hearing you point out where we should be looking at. And this is as creative as it gets, man. Congratulations. This is it.
Thanks for your support.
Pura vida.